Hello, dear friends, how are you? Smartphones is the most wonderful invention of modern times, and there are lots of benefits if we do have a smartphone. Lacking a smartphone, unable to use it, of course, it is quite a lot disadvantageous. But since everything else has its limits, and everything else benefits are limited, and since the excessive use of anything else is counterproductive and is a boomerang, so keeping in view all that, I think the excessive use of the screen and the smartphone, it is quite toxic, quite dangerous at the same time, but the people know very little about its negative impact upon our life. Instead of, you know, positively impacting our life, it negatively impacts our life and a lot as well. But overwhelming majority of the people don't know it. That is why they are unable to practice it, unable to protect them from the losses, from the troubles, from the pain, from the problems of the excessive use of the smartphone. So let's try to understand what are the negative impact of the excessive use of of the smartphone, and also about how to protect it ourselves. We will like to know what are the negative impact upon my physical health, upon my mental health, and upon my cognitive abilities, upon my social skills, and ultimately how to somehow mitigate or minimize the negative impact of the negative effects of the excessive use of smartphones. So let's begin from the physically negative impacts upon our life. First of all, it is that it creates a lot of strain. It lot of strain upon our eyes, and the eye health is directly and first of all it does suffer if at all we are seen using the smartphone very often, very frequently, and of course excessively. So it is the eyes which suffer a lot, and in the later years of the life we may have to pay the price, and the price could be unbearable. So for all that reason, if at all you want to you want your eyes to we want our eyes to keep working and to stay in a working position till the end of the life, I think we need to understand the excessive use of the smartphone are bad. Number two, the second very negative impact of it upon our life, it is the it is the heart health, cardiovascular health, and it is the obesity, and it is very very negative impact upon our cardiovascular health, because we are not using our body at all. We keep sitting for a longer period of time, and of course it is so dangerous, and not just the bad, it is quite dangerous for our heart health, for our cardiovascular diseases, and for the cardiovascular health. Now the third major negative impact of it is the sleep disturbances, and we don't find ourselves able to enjoy the quality sleep and the quantity sleep as well. Sleep is the biggest ever restorative. Sleep is the biggest ever restorative. It restores us mentally and physically. But if at all, unfortunately, we are not giving ourselves proper sleep quantity and quantity of the quality and the quantity of the sleep, so it will harm us in many, many ways. And finally, the fourth and the last major physical negative effect upon our life, since we are unable to keep our posture straight, since we do have to sit for a longer period of time, so it does not remain, it is not possible It is not easy to keep ourselves in a straight and fine posture and unable to sit straight. It does negatively, quite negatively affects our skeleton and our spine in particular. And you know that as for the spinal cords are concerned, if at all it gets disturbed once, I think the whole life become the disturbed and quite a lot disturbed. Because why? It is the skeleton, because it is the pillars of our body, because it is the frame of our body, because it is the pillar of our body. As far our spine is concerned, and for that to keep our spine in a good shape, we need to sit straight. But sitting and using the smartphone for a longer period of time, it does not allow us to sit straight for a longer period. So these are the four major negative effects upon our body. Now there are another few very negative impact upon our mental health. What are those, by the way? First of all, it is that it increases a lot stress and anxiety. As far the stress and anxiety level is concerned, it gets increased a lot, and because there is a little or no physical activity. Physical activity reduces or minimizes the anxiety level, the mental stress level. And since the excessive use of the smartphone mean that we are not physically active much, so that is quite dangerous our physical, as for our anxiety level, as for the peace of mind is concerned, it increases a lot of mental stress and lot of anxiety level. The second bad impact upon our mental health, that is decreased attention span. Decreased attention span, since we keep switching from the one media, from the one video to the another one, from one application to another one. So this frequent switching, and only with after each few seconds or after each few minutes, so it destroys our focus, our concentration. And that is, we cannot deliver a quantity quality work at all. We cannot deliver a quantity work at all. Why? Because we are unable to focus, unable to stay focused, and we are unable to concentrate as well. The third major negative impact is the social isolation. And since it provides so much on the screen, and it means that it is the easiest one as well to watch what is happening around us, even inside the whole of the world. So for all that reason, since it is the easiest and the most engaging activity, for that reason we become socially isolated, and we spend lesser and lesser amount of time with other people. So the third major negative impact, it is the social isolation. And the last and the fourth major negative impact upon our mind health, upon our mental health, that is, it since it is quite an addiction, since it is quite a lot, we become lot more dependent upon our smartphone. Every time, if at all we are unable to receive the signals, or we don't have the smartphone in our hand, if at all it is not working, so it means that we feel like somebody who is addicted to it but unable to get their addiction. And it generate lot of addiction like situation and lot of dependency, which is again very bad, and it does poses very negative impact upon our mental health. So dear friends, that is the negative impact upon the physical health, upon the mental health. And now we are going to talk about what is going to be its impact upon our cognitive abilities and our social impact. What will be the social impact of this excessive smartphone use, and what will be the impact of it upon our cognitive abilities? And the first thing, the first very negative impact of it is that is decreased cognitive abilities. How the cognitive abilities does get increased? And what are the cognitive abilities? It is our memory, and it is our critical thinking, and it is our problem solving skills. all of that get quite negatively impacted. Why? Because of this excessive smartphone use. So that is the first negative impact. It is the poor memory, the poor memory, and the poor critical thinking, the poor problem solving skills as well. The second negative impact upon our cognitive abilities and upon the social impact, it is the social skills and empathy. And we, since we are interacting lesser and lesser physically and face to face, for all that reason, as for the social skills are concerned, these are automatically going down. And not only this thing, but empathy, and we lack the empathy, and we stop feeling the pain of other people. We don't find ourselves able to put ourselves into the shoes of another person, so that we are better able to understand. We are better able to understand and feel what the other person is feeling. And that is the second major negative impact upon our cognitive abilities: lack of empathy, and the lack of empathy and lack of the social skills. Now the third major negative impact, it is the impact on relationships. All the relationships with our family members, the relationships with our friends, and the relationships with the rest of the people, with the neighbors, with the colleagues, with the strangers, all goes very very down. Why? Because of the excessive usage of the smartphone. So that is called, it is called, it is the relationships which suffers and suffers a lot. Now the fourth, now it is the next segment, and the loss segment as well. This loss segment says how to mitigate the negative impact, of excessive smartphone usage. Number one way is, it is setting the screen time limits and enforcing it as well. Enforcing it upon us mean limiting, like deciding that this is the time of my smartphone usage. Otherwise, I will be just listening the call in a small in a I mean for a few minutes only, and not beyond that at all. As for the social media applications are concerned, I'm not going to find myself on these and accept the given time. So that is the solution number one, to mitigate the negative impact, and it is set the time limit. And the second way is, take regular breaks if at all we are using it. And after every 20 minutes, suppose after every 15 minutes, we can have the break of 5 minutes. So that is another way. It is called taking the regular breaks to mitigate the negative impact of smartphone usage excessively. Now the third way, and that is prioritizing face to face interaction, instead of preferring to talk to somebody on the telephone, or instead of spending our free time on the telephone, on the smartphone. It is far better to talk to people face to face, to avoid the negative and to mitigate and minimize the negative impact of the excessive smartphone usage. Now the fourth and the last way, and that is prioritize, that is practice digital detox. What is the digital detox? Digital detox mean, it is like fasting. And fasting is considered as something which is highly beneficial. In the same manner, we can do the fasting here as for the usage of the smartphone is concerned, like 16, like I mean, for example, from the sunset to the sunrise, I'm not going to use it at all. So that is for example only. I think that is these are the four ways to somehow minimize the negative impact of excessive smartphone usage. All of our today's talk, I think it is highly needed, highly beneficial for each of the individual, because it is the excessive usage of the smartphone. It impact negatively quite a lot on our physical health, upon our mental health, upon our cognitive abilities, upon our social skills, and there are certain important ways to minimize, to mitigate the negative impact of excessive use of the smartphone. So that being a very very useful and beneficial topic. That is all from me today. Thank you very much.